Episode 13. We're back. Probably unlucky for some.
Nah, it's going to be a lucky one.
Is it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all about the content.
Good guest.
We have got a good guest this week. Stay tuned for that. Actually, I've got some amazing news.
Yes.
Yes.
Go on.
We've had a call to the bang line.
Woohoo! The bang
Someone
line.
has rung the bang line. Don't ask me what the number is, because I'm going to forget.
Okay.
But Stuart from Mindings,
Yep.
you win the prize. There isn't a prize, but you win the prize. So thank you, Stuart. We appreciate that.
He's got his own podcast, right?
He has got his own podcast, so we need to give a shout out to him. So go check out disruptivesocialcare.com, and we'll put that in the show notes as well.
Excellent.
So yeah, Stuart's got his own podcast and you know, we obviously want to help support him and get that off the ground. And likewise, you know, Stuart, send us some traffic as well. We need it.
Yes.
So
Who are we interviewing today then?
yeah, so it's another entrepreneur / founder. So, you know, it's all about understanding who's out there trying to change the world with new companies. So we've got some guy that's running his own business, something about books.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
It will
Cool.
be, yes.
And don't forget, HashBang TV is brought to you by AlphaPunk, the amazing creative agency for all of your creative needs.
The best in the world.
Yep.
Yeah?
Check out alphapunk.com and the AlphaPunk on Twitter.
Awesome.
So, on to the interview.
Yes. So I guess I first came across you when you were at Orange and you were doing multimedia messaging, which was kind of like, you know, it's going to be the next big thing. You remember that? MMS?
Yeah, I remember it, yeah.
Yeah. So how did that go?
Yeah, we first met when I was inventing MMS at Orange, which up till now has been the highlight of my career. So my background is computer scientist, did intelligence systems at university, did 2 degrees, and then I managed to roll straight into a job at Orange, which was very lucky, 1998. It grew rapidly, very interesting place to work, very different work environment, and so yeah, it was great. And then France Telecom bought it. And it changed, and I thought, I don't really want to work for a big company anymore. I wanted to, didn't want to work for the man, I wanted to work for myself. So I was racking my brains trying to find a way of extracting myself, and yeah, managed to sort of start a consultancy business and selling my knowledge of MMS of all things, and you know, general kind of mobile expertise around the place since. But the original idea about leaving Orange was to come up with a product idea. So why did you have an idea around audiobooks? That's a good question, Chris. Well, it was a couple of years after leaving Orange, and I'd always had a bit of a thing for audiobooks anyway. So in between, I did a BSc and an MSc, and weirdly the MSc started in January, so I had 6 months, and I worked as a temp in an audiobook company in Bath, which is my hometown. Have you ever been to Bath? And so I was recording cassette tapes, and they kind of stuck with me. And strangely as well, at Orange, the culture was about audiobooks as well. So they had an intranet site where you could go on, order your book, and it could be a printed book or an audiobook, and the next day it was delivered to your desk. So a lot of people commuted, and a lot of people listened to these audiobooks, and it was all part of the kind of performance process, and you know, and how you manage to improve yourself. So there was always this thing about audio in my mind. I'm not a brilliant reader. I'm not a prolific reader. I find it difficult. So I'd kind of supplemented that by listening to audiobooks. But the real genesis of the idea was sort of sat in bed, first generation iPhone. So I got an iPhone from California when they first launched, and I was streaming BBC iPlayer content, which was only in a browser at the time. So Book of the Week and Book at Bedtime over Wi-Fi, you know, to my first generation iPhone. I thought, crikey, there's an opportunity here. If you could get all the audiobook catalogue and to stream it to smartphones, there's definitely a business there. I was an Audible subscriber, and I thought, well, if you could combine those two things, the sort of iPlayer type streaming technology and the catalogue that Audible had, there was a business. So that was the kind of genesis of it. Went to Newcastle, went to a concert. I know you guys like talking about pop concerts and stuff like that. So I went to see the Specials, the reunion gig, and my wife and my brother-in-law and I sat down drinking loads of Guinness, and said, look, really need to come up for a name for this business. And my wife went, wow, what about Bardowl? You know, Bard as in Shakespeare, and owls are wise, right? And that was it. Domain registered, and we haven't looked back since.
So that must be pretty challenging, coming up with an idea about audiobooks when you're not a publisher or in publishing. So what kind of challenges have you faced? How hard has that been?
That's right, yes. I've never worked in publishing. I've always worked in technology. I've always worked in mobile technology, including the massively successful MMS. I approached this idea as a technology innovation initially, which was, just streaming would be better than having to download these chuffing great CDs and then transfer them to your device. But once you've done that, you obviously start talking to publishers, and they've been very receptive over the years. And we knew we had to compete with a business model. And so when you start streaming, you start thinking, well, actually, you don't need to pay per book. You can pay, a monthly fee and get access to it. And about 6 months after the idea formed and we started talking to publishers, Spotify launched in the UK. And so that's how we're known, Spotify for audiobooks. But actually, the initial idea happened before all of that stuff. So, definitely outsiders, but we're very much partnering with publishers. We want to take their content. They've been recording these things for 40 years. We want to take their content and sell them with this new technology and this new business model. So we are seen as an outsider, but I think we're seen as a positive thing. We're working with the partners. We're not trying to disintermediate them. So that's how we managed to do it. So you're working in publishing now. And your surname is actually Book. Yes, that has been pointed out. My surname is Book, and I am involved now in books. So, the publishing community do find that hilarious. It does get a little bit, wearing after a while, but...
So throughout this time, right, you've been working on this idea. It's obviously, at the same time, you've been working for, bigger companies like Telefonica and stuff like that. So talk us through kind of your experience of bootstrapping a startup whilst holding down a kind of a day job. There must be a lot of people that are watching the show that are interested in that kind of thing but haven't quite taken that kind of leap of faith about working on something in their own time.
It's not easy, but you have to you have to bring in income, you have to pay for your mortgage, and you've always got this thing that you want to be doing, and it's just one of those things you have to do. I think the answer is that you can't do that alone. You have to build a team around you. So we've got a team of 7 people that work actively on Bardowl, none of which are working on it full time. And that's kind of bootstrapping. You try and find different ways. So we've raised an angel round, which isn't enough for any of them to go full time, and we need to raise a subsequent round as well. But we're revenue generating since launch, and we've managed to kind of win some competitions, which bring in some cash as well. So you just try and do anything to just hustle your way through, and hope that you get it to a point at which the product is proven, so that you can raise some more money in order to do it. So I think there's a lot of talk about kind of organic or bootstrapped businesses and that kind of stuff. It's just hanging in there. I think a load of startups, they start and they start talking to big partners as well. So you're trying to balance that thing of working with big partners, and they then disappear, and so that gives the whole startup word a bad name if you're a big company trying to partner. So you've just got to hang in there. You've got to keep going back and keep talking about the business model, and just prove that you're here for the long term by not disappearing. And it is tough, and you just try and get the cash in and keep hanging in there. And it's amazing being launched, because you can then, you've got something to point at and say, look, I told you this is what we're going to do, and we've done it. Bootstrapping is a bit of a myth. It's very difficult to do, but it's the only way to start a business, I think. Wow, so you've been bootstrapping it for more than 3.5 years. There must have been some highs and lows during that time. Can you sort of tell us what the highlights have been and what the lowlights have been?
Obviously the high is coming on HashBang TV.
Yeah. Well, you'll know, Chris, it's a roller coaster. There's no other word for it. Some days you'll receive an email from a publisher saying, yes, we're totally in, we totally get it, and then other days you might get something about finance, and it's like, so every single day it is highs and lows. Highlights: we won a Digital Innovation Award from the Bookseller, which is the publishing industry magazine, newspaper, weekly thing, and the publishers on that panel decided that Bardowl was the most innovative thing in 2011. So going to a ceremony and picking up an award like that from the industry that we're all outsiders from, pretty much, was definitely a highlight. I don't know if I can go into any lowlights really, any specifics. Well, there was one thing. We spent a bit of time working on it full time, my business partner and I, Neil, and we almost came to blows because we were talking about churn, so it's a subscription business and customers come and go and you call this thing churn. And we were so focused on the business modelling, on the spreadsheet that would work out how many customers we'd lose each month, that we almost came to blows about the maths of it. Neither of us knew what we were doing. And guess what? No single investor, no single VC, nobody has ever asked us about churn in all that time.
So I've heard about Audible. How's Bardowl different? Give us a flavour of what it does.
That's a good question about who already provides audiobook services. So the existing way that audiobooks work is you either pay for them a la carte, so from iTunes or from download to own sites, and you pay the full price of the book and you download it like you would a CD. And then it's yours forever, you own it. There's a subscription model where you pay a fixed fee each month and that entitles you to one book, or you pay double and it gives you 2 books. What Bardowl changes is it's $9.99 a month, and that means you have all you can eat access. So you can listen to one book all the way through, or you can sample and listen to an hour here and an hour there. So the classic use case is you're a busy guy, you're on the train on the way up, you're listening to a business book to motivate you. On the way back, you listen to some fiction to chill out, and when you're with the kids, you play them some children's audio. We want that to be as open access as possible, so it's $9.99 for all you can eat access to audiobooks. That's the major difference. The technology innovation is the fact that it's streaming, so wherever you are, on a mobile network, on a Wi-Fi network, you pick the book you want to start listening to and it starts to stream. But we've been a bit clever. We used that experience from Orange. Co-founder and I both worked a long time there to cache some of the content. So you start playing and it stores up to 3 hours of your favourite books in the app itself. So if you do go on a tube, if you go on a short flight, you can still listen to the audiobooks that you're currently listening to. So that's how we differentiate ourselves from the other players.
So 3 years of bootstrapping, holding down day jobs, all that hard work, you finally get it launched. How did it go? How does it feel?
It was excellent, yeah, really good. I mean, it feels really weird to be launched. I've used this phrase a few times, people I've talked to, it feels like the day after your wedding. You've been preparing so long for this thing, and then it's done, and you sit there and you go, oh, what now? And this is where the hard work really, really starts, right? So yeah, we've got lots of coverage. So it was kind of from 2 different areas really. So Technology Press picked up on the technology innovation bit that I just explained, and the publishing press. So we were in the bookseller, and we were also in Publisher Weekly, which is a massive publishing newspaper in North America. So it's been great. Feedback's been really, really good. The application itself is working very, very well. The one piece of feedback that we've had is it's only business books. How do you expand? And that's our plan really. So yeah, it's been excellent. Feels very strange to be live. Been talking about it to everybody. I think you've probably heard about it before the last few years, and now to actually have something in the App Store. So please go download it from iTunes. Search for Bardowl, Bardowl. Yeah, so that sounds like you've got great traction. It's only a month since launch. What are you going to do next with it? What next for Bardowl? How do you get to world domination? World domination? We're not quite there yet. But what do we do next? As I just alluded to, we need to expand the content. So we're only business, we're only on iOS, we're only in the UK. So the next step is to get fiction, poetry, children's, humour, travel, a wider range of books from more publishers. So our mantra now is more books in more genres from more publishers. So the good thing is that launching and the kind of coverage that generates has really kind of interested the publishers as well. I think they understand the model in lots of detail, and they're very willing to retail with us. So it's all about expansion. And then we've got 2 things that we need to do. We need to launch in North America, and the thing about apps and apps distribution is that you can do that. Once you have the rights for the content signed for those territories, it's very easy to distribute an app into those countries. And the other thing we need to do is to be on other platforms. So we want to set out a plan for Android next, and then Windows Phone 7, and we will try and get Bardowl to be an application on as many different platforms as we possibly can. So world domination, not yet, but we're working very hard on it. That's brilliant, Chris. Thanks so much. Really interesting stuff. Yeah, thanks for inviting me on. I think it's a great podcast, what you're doing. Really enjoyed being interviewed, thank you.
I'm sure we've seen that guy somewhere before.
I don't know.
Okay.
Handsome chap.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, what a brilliant interview from Chris of Bardowl. You can go to http://bardowl.com.
HTTP?
Yeah, http.
What is this, 1996?
//bardowl.com. He mentioned that, I think, and download the application if you have an iOS device.
Or just say bardowl.com would have been a lot easier, wouldn't it?
Bardowl.com.
Yeah, okay. So you're wearing the T-shirt?
Yes.
You went to the Stone Roses?
I did.
Was it good?
Oh, it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
What a gig. I mean, it was huge. 80,000 people, first night, so first time they played in the UK.
That was the one?
Yeah, it was the opening
okay.
night. This Is the One. That was the song that everybody came together and sung. It was just a fantastic gig. Bit muddy, bars were shit, but they pulled it off. It was excellent.
Excellent, okay.
You like my T-shirt?
Very nice.
Yeah, it's cool.
I've got a red one on too.
Have you? Oh, we're matching.
Oh, nice.
Lovely.
So, that's it for another episode?
I think that's the best episode we've done.
Well, yeah, maybe.
The interviewee was fantastic.
You liked him, didn't you?
I felt a connection.
Did you?
Yeah, a real connection.
Yeah, I felt him a little bit creepy, but
okay.
Yeah.
Interesting business though.
Yeah, apparently.
One to watch.
One to listen to.
Hey,
thank you.
That's good.
Okay, till next time then.
Yeah, in the bag.